Information related in this program is not meant to substitute medical recommendations. Before starting a treatment program, you should consult your physician.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
All right, welcome to the Couch Live here on Rock100DIZ.com, WH102jams.com, and of course, the Problem Solving Network. Let me just get these buttons. I'm confused here. Look, there's a whole new video here. You see that? It switches back and forth, and I'm not used to all this yet.
We're sophisticated.
Well, not really. We're
Oh, is that working?
Yeah, the problem is we're not sophisticated, and we're trying to be sophisticated.
I think
play
we're
one on TV.
sophisticated.
You think so? Well, no, you're sophisticated. All right, so everybody, welcome to Surf Monkey Media Studios, the new home for the Problem Solving Network, and of course, the Couch Live. Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a great Friday. It's a beautiful Friday here in New Smyrna Beach. This is the home of our new studios. Check this out. Look at that. A whole new camera angle for you guys. So now you guys get your own camera instead of being behind my microphone all the time.
I feel a little tingly inside.
You
It
feel
feels like
special?
we've like almost graduated.
Just about.
We've
Yeah.
evolved.
Just about.
Yeah.
We've evolved a little bit. We don't have all of our equipment in yet, but as it's coming in and as we're getting everything,
We'll set the ambiance at some point. We got Shaq joining us in the
Well,
back there.
Shaq's standing up today. I mean, he was sitting down last week, but today he's a full force.
He's a big boy.
Remember when Shaq used to look like that? You remember that, kids? Well, he did. That was when he was younger. What was he, like 23 there?
Something like that. I don't know.
The opposite of his
He's
number?
young.
Yeah. So anyway, here talking about addiction and recovery and all things in between. I'll be toggling back and forth like this, so I'll be able to see you guys here when I'm sharing with you, and I'll be able to go back to this view over here when you guys are speaking. How about that?
Sounds good.
It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
All right, so Robbie, take us in. Talk to us about what we're supposed to be talking about today.
Yeah. Well, I'll save the science for a little bit later, unless you want me to talk about that.
No, you
now.
got to slow roll into the science a little
Yeah.
bit. You just start off with
Ease
science.
into it.
Yeah, you got to ease into
Yeah.
that.
Then everyone that's watching is gonna be scared.
Like the
yeah.
wheels and everything else.
No. You always want to start with the controversial stuff there, Robbie.
Yeah. Oh well. I mean, on a personal note, I got a new sponsor this week, so that's kind of cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. And it turns out he lives 2 streets down from me, so
Turns
Right on.
out.
I had no idea.
You had no idea.
Yeah. But he's a good guy.
Did you know the guy before a couple days ago?
No, I met him at a meeting, and my old sponsor relapsed. So
Wow.
Well,
Wow.
hey, if you're watching, apparently you just got outed.
yeah,
Yeah, right?
he just wasn't.
Tell it how it is, Robbie.
Well, just not spiritually fit enough. So
Okay, stop now. It's okay.
it's
Okay.
okay, so
So you got a new sponsor. That's the cool thing.
Yes. In
All
terms of addiction news,
All
the Clinton Foundation and the Adapt Pharma are giving 40,000 doses of Narcan to colleges throughout the U.S. So
Wait a minute. Did you say the Clinton Foundation? They threw their hat in the ring?
yeah, the Clinton Foundation.
The Clinton
They
Foundation.
threw their money in the
Interesting.
ring.
Yeah. Oh, nice. I like it. So all of a sudden, we got a new player
Yeah.
out
Yeah,
there, right?
an old player coming
Trump
back,
says
I guess.
let's
Right.
do something, doesn't
Right.
do anything. Clinton says here's some money.
Right,
Ooh,
right.
Nice little dig there, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, she
Right.
came out with her book not too long ago,
Oh, did she?
trashing him. Yeah.
Wow.
She was talking about him stalking her on the stage when they have debates and whatnot.
All right.
That's stirring up some controversy.
Well, that's interesting. So the Clinton Foundation did what, Sir Robbie?
They teamed up with Adapt Pharma, which I haven't heard of, but they're actually giving.
Wait a minute. Yes, you have.
Adapt.
Adapt Pharma. You've heard of it.
Hmm.
Yeah, they make Narcan.
Oh.
That's
yeah.
why you've heard of it.
Oh, right. It is
and
Narcan. Duh.
yeah, and we at the Now Matters More Foundation did give away 108 Narcans at our last golf
gotcha.
tournament.
We probably got a Adapt
Shameless
Pharma
plug.
somewhere over
Yeah, no, they're not on there.
Okay.
But all right, so Adapt Pharma,
Right. Adapt Pharma.
and The Clinton Foundation.
And the Clinton Foundation.
Okay.
They teamed up and they're giving out 40,000 doses of Narcan to colleges throughout the U.S.
Okay.
And they're actually teaching students. They're giving them away to students, so they're putting them.
How are they breaking that up for the 40,000? How do they?
I don't know.
Is it just publicly funded universities? Is it private universities?
It says it's colleges, actually colleges and high schools across the country.
High school.
Right on.
Interesting.
And they hope to get every school in America Narcan.
Right.
And then it just talks about the FDA-approved nasal spray, which we all know about.
Right.
And they're bringing in officials and teaching students actually how to use this. Yeah.
So in line with that, now, last week you had mentioned, was it last week or the week before? I think you had told us that, I guess we had all thought, but we didn't know, we knew that it wasn't official.
Oh, August 10th. So
August 10th. So when Trump said that he was going to declare a national emergency, this opioid crisis being a national emergency, we had talked about it might not actually be true, that it was fully declared. In other words,
he declared it verbally.
Official.
Declared.
Exactly.
Right. So now what we're saying is, now we know for sure it wasn't declared, right?
Not declared.
Yeah, he has not. There's been no paper signed.
There's a process that has to go through, and he has not done that.
So my question is, how did that come out? Like all of a sudden that became news. How did that all of a sudden become news?
Well, I guess people were kind of waiting on something to happen, because he did get on TV and he said we've never had a drug problem of this magnitude in our country,
right?
And people were waiting on some money to be allocated to the right places. And
right.
Nothing has happened. It's just an empty promise thus far. So
yeah, I think some of it. I know. In fact, I texted you last night. I was
I
was watching a news story, and what they were doing was they were showing it from the perspective of they were trying to show how maybe not all of the Republicans that we feel are potentially on the hot seat are really on the hot seat.
Okay.
And the way so that's how they led into it, was saying that there was like a whole bunch of different things that Trump has said vocally but nothing's really come of it. Like for instance, the transgender, ban in the military.
Right.
He said that, he tweeted it, but he's never really done anything to it. So the military's like, well, we're going to wait till he gives us something.
Right. There's nothing formal.
Correct. And so basically what they're saying is he's saying a lot of stuff, but he's not actually fulfilling the other end of that.
Right. Well, he does kind of speak fast. He says...
okay. He says a lot.
He says things. Yeah. Right when he's thinking it.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
It doesn't mean he's not going to do it. I'm sure he'll get around to saying that you can't be transgender in the military if he so chooses to say that.
That is definitely one perspective.
But it hasn't happened today.
I think what it is, though, with the transgender one, he's even now saying he wants the military to do it. And that's what the latest one is.
Well, it kind of should be up to them. Should be up to generals.
Well, they don't want it in the first place. Like, they've all come out against it. So, but anyways, I digress. They brought it up from what I was seeing was it was like a town hall meeting. It was a Republican senator who had a Democratic town hall meeting, basically. They organized it. And they were just using that to illustrate that they're not as much on the hot seat as we once thought. So that's why they did the lead-in. But part of the lead-in was saying that with the opioid epidemic, he said it, but he never actually... There's 3 steps, apparently, that you have to do in order to declare a state of emergency. He hasn't done any of them yet.
Wow.
All right, but what exactly is the hot seat that you're referencing? When you say
I think
they're not on the hot seat, what's the hot seat?
I think that, depending on who you're listening to, a lot of the mainstream media is trying to say that Republicans, due to what they view as ineptitude from Trump, is causing a lot of them to be in danger of losing their seats when the next election happens. And what they were trying to illustrate is not really. Like, they're not in danger of losing their seat as much as we might think that they are, based upon what some view as ineptitude in the White House.
In
other words,
so it's another slam towards him, is what you're saying.
I don't know if I would call it a slam towards him. I think it was just saying that I was just education, I guess.
Right.
Because I think a lot of people who aren't really in the news cycle as far as politics are operating under the assumption of, okay, all the Republicans are going to be out in the next election. Not really. Like,
I see what you're saying. Oh, okay, now I get it.
Like, a lot of people think that all these Republicans are going to get voted out in the next election.
Yeah, I don't think so
and
at
that's
all.
not really the case. They're not as in trouble as we think that they are.
Right.
Even the ones who support or don't support Trump.
Right.
So that's what the town hall was about. They were showing that this town hall meeting, the guy was actually kind of handling his thing, and they weren't really mad at him. They were mad at more politics in general.
Right.
And so he was able to diffuse the situation, so it looks like he's probably going to still have support in the next election.
Which I think that is the problem, though, right? The politics in general was kind of keeping this up. I mean, and maybe not on this particular case, because you're saying that when they brought up that he hasn't signed anything, are they acting like that a president actually has the power that once they say it, that was August 10th, so once he says it here in August, what is today?
Well, I think
24th. 24th that they would have the money by now. Is that what they're trying to act
Well, they don't
like?
need money for that. Like to declare a state of emergency, it's really just as simple as filing some paperwork and saying it.
No, but I mean, did they bring it up because they said, "Oh, we're expecting"? You said that they were expecting money. When I said, like, why did they bring it up? You said they were expecting money, but that it hasn't come through. It wouldn't have come through in a week or 2 weeks anyway.
No, they were expecting action. As I think what happened was, like in that particular town hall meeting, they were expecting to see some sort of action take place.
Yeah, I like that.
And nothing has been done. And so they were upset.
But they didn't define nothing. In other words, when you say nothing has been done, like what is it that they want done?
What he said, declaration of emergency.
Yeah.
But why do they want it? In other words, they brought it up to say, we're going to do what? What are they going to do? Because remember, we were talking about 10 cities last week. We know darn well they're not going to do 10 cities.
From what my understanding is, once again, I watched like a 15-minute clip last night. So, from what my understanding is, when you declare a state of emergency, it does free up money.
Right.
It frees up certain programs to be able to do more.
Right.
And offer more. And
right.
It basically opens the door and lets a lot of stuff come through that we want to do that are currently being held up that they can't do now because of the red tape.
Mm-hmm.
But if he declares a state of emergency, it's kind of like gives them the green light to go ahead and start doing stuff.
But we have a state of emergency in our
Florida.
state,
and
that money is not out yet.
Yeah,
that got declared months ago.
Yeah.
So, which is, I guess, the reason I'm asking is because I'm trying to see if it was, because I get real hesitant when, this is really the only subject that really matters to me as far as like the addiction, recovery, what are they doing for us kind of thing. Sure. And I don't like when they politicize things, like they try to incite me because I'm a Latino. They try to incite me and say I should not like this guy because I'm Latino. And if I like him because I'm Latino, then I'm really not a good Latino. You know what I mean? Right. And I don't like trying to be used in the addiction world either, or the recovery world, like I should be mad that it hasn't been declared an emergency if their expectations are unreal. In other words, like if they're saying that we should already have money by now. But I do agree that if you're going to say that you're going to declare it a national emergency, he was probably, because he did say, I'm going to. He didn't say, I am currently declaring. Remember, because we talked about that on that show on August 10th, or on August 11th.
I think he did say it.
No. He said, I'm going to declare it a state of emergency. A national emergency.
What he said that we were talking about, he said, we're going to spend a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of money on the opioid crisis.
Correct.
That was the words that everyone hung on to.
Correct.
And the responding statement this week that I think is, it's pretty accurate. It says, just saying the word emergency isn't a magic incantation. So
fact.
That's all it is.
That's fact.
Words so far. And,
that's fact.
Yeah.
But as we know, in any business or in any situation, words precede action. So first there's meetings and talks and how much, because let's say he just thought it and said, I'm going to declare it. But once he officially declares it, we all know that he's going to have to come up with a specific number.
Right.
And that involves a lot of meetings and a lot of people that he has to work with and have to agree to. He can't just say, I'm going to declare this much money and then just, where's he going to get that money from?
Yeah, I don't know if declaration of an emergency automatically includes a dollar amount, though.
It might.
I think
it might on a declaration. It might.
That I don't know. I just know what I saw last night. There's 3 steps involved to do it, and then that allows the discussions to take place.
So what are the 3 steps?
Let me find that out real quick.
You got to say it, do it, spend it.
While Trinity is looking that up, I think just to put this in perspective, so the 9/11 terror attacks, obviously national emergency declared.
Right.
At the high amounts, 2,977 deaths. Hurricane Katrina, obviously, day of, national emergency declared, 1,836 deaths. 50,000 people died in 2015.
Correct.
And nothing.
Correct. Okay, 100%. I definitely see your point. Now, when they declare those national emergencies for those, my understanding of the declaration is so they can deploy National Guard and deploy national resources immediately to those affected areas.
Right.
Again, if we do something formally for this, remember when I was talking screaming 10 cities?
Yeah.
All right, what are you going to deploy?
That's what I was just wondering.
So he declares it a national emergency. Then what? Are you're going to deploy the National Guard to the hood and to middle class America and to rich neighborhoods that are getting deliveries by their drug dealers? Go to the doctor's offices, go to pharmacies. Where is the National Guard going to go?
I don't
like.
What
are they supposed to do?
I think the money that's behind that should just go to freeing up like treatment beds. Honestly,
how about create some? We only have 10.
Yeah.
In Orange County.
Well, we could have more.
In Orange County, Florida. We have 10.
If they funded more of the beds that were already here, it's not like we have to go build like a rehab. We could just, if they fund the patients going in the existing rehabs.
Correct. And we've talked about that on the show before, Robbie. We had said that there's a lot of private practitioners, a lot of private facilities. We have Journey Pure. We have Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of good treatment centers that realistically have no public beds right now. But the government could make a deal.
That's what I'm saying. With
all those facilities, like Nova's Detox, and say, here's how much we're willing to pay for this bed. Let's free it up. Let's get it filled today. Because there's a lot of empty beds right now out there that could be occupied. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Is what you're saying. But that would be nice.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the money seems to never go in that direction. It always goes back to the same old, tired old places, those state-funded facilities. You know who you are, that you get every single grant that comes available, and then just sucks all the money. So all the good facilities, the good treatment centers that you would actually send your own children to,
right,
unfortunately are not getting any of this money.
Yeah.
And I think that's, if you're going to declare a national emergency, I guess what I'm waiting for is then why don't you work together with the private practitioners and try to figure out how can we fill up your chairs at your outpatients, your chairs at your IOPs, your beds at your treatment centers, your detox beds.
Well, to address that, I mean, I haven't found the total answer yet, but I literally just came across a paragraph that addresses that same thing.
Okay, good.
It says, in addition to freeing up federal funds to combat the opioid crisis, Trump could use the state of emergency to temporarily waive certain rules that restrict access to drug treatment for the uninsured.
Nice.
Okay, so do they define that?
For instance, Christie's commission called for Trump to do away with something called the IMD exclusion, a Medicaid provision that blocks inpatient rehab facilities with 16 beds or more from working with a taxpayer-funded program.
Just so you know, Medicaid doesn't pay for residential beds. So.
Well, they do for the first 20 years.
I don't think Medicaid really pays for beds, or Medicare doesn't pay for beds. So government money to get beds is really difficult. It's just it's so.
I guess that's what they're saying though. Is
I think what they need to waive is the fact that you have to be a Medicare Medicaid provider, that you have to have a Medicaid number, because private practitioners don't have Medicaid numbers. So what you need to waive is that you have to be in network, because right now what's happening is the insurance companies are taking this, running with it. Now you have to be in network. You have to be CARF accredited, or you have to be JACO accredited. And so even though there's an accreditation in every state, they're trying to put additional layers of accreditation, which further empowers the insurance companies to control treatment. And here's what a lot of you don't know. Unfortunately, sometimes for in-network providers, you send someone you love to an in-network provider because you have an HMO or something like that. They go into treatment, and let's say 7 days in, they're doing relatively well. If that provider indicates in the paperwork that they're doing really well, they want to discharge them at 7 days. So now what the insurance company is trying to do is tell you, you can go home now. You're ready. You can leave. Or if you don't do a bed-to-bed transfer directly from a detox to a treatment center, they say, well, you're no longer eligible for treatment. So those are the kind of conditions, Trinity, that I would like to see lifted. Not necessarily the Medicaid, Medicare rules and all those, access to care needs, but the rules that the insurance companies tend to place upon you, so they can, for some reason, deny you. Because it's not government denying us treatment. It's the insurance provider. Sometimes you can have an insurance card, and they're the ones denying you treatment.
Yeah. Sure, and I think that's what the insinuation there is that when you declare a state of emergency, that gives you a lot of latitude to kind of change a lot of the rules
and that's why I think it hasn't been declared yet, to be honest with you. And I'm not trying to defend anybody. I'm just simply trying to say that I think that once you say that, then there's a lot of questions that come with that. For instance, what does that mean? So let's say he says, I am officially today declaring this a national state of emergency or a national emergency. Then I think he won't be able to answer the questions as to how many dollars he's going to allocate, where's that money going to go, what's it going to fund, What rules are going to be different? What changes do you expect to see?
Right.
And we do know, again, we know that we do have a president that, like it or not, he's very vocal immediately. He tends to let us know exactly what he's thinking a lot of times. And so some people like that because they find they can relate to him a lot better. And it seems more like a relationship they wanted because they didn't like politicians in the first place that seem to always be talking out of the side of their mouth. Right. At least this one, you kind of know what he's thinking, whether you like it or not. And then the people against him don't like it because they feel like it is all talk. And it's like, if you're going to say something, then do it, fulfill it. But then again, I don't know if you're able to fulfill certain things like this, Robbie or Trinity, without Congress approval and some other things. I don't know how you can just allocate money as a president. I don't even know you have that power. I really don't. You brought up good points about Katrina and other emergencies like 9/11, right, where we know that addiction has killed a hell of a lot more people than all of those. Yeah. And the public response was greater in those instances. Oh, of course. And the public monies available, government monies available, was a lot more greater in those immediately, I should say, right, than now. Red Cross, everybody. Mm-hmm. We don't. I don't think anybody can say, you know what, my loved one has a drug problem. I called the Red Cross and we got him into treatment. No. I don't think there's an individual out there right now that can say that they called the Red Cross and got into treatment, even though we have this emergency going on, right? And we have, 140 a day dying. 140 a day dying, and you can't call the Red Cross.
Well, not only that, but the numbers that you and I were talking about the other day when we were going to come up with another segment, which right, now would be a great segue into that,
okay,
by the way. But,
all right, what is it?
Well, I don't know what group you wanted to call out first.
Oh, boy, here we go. Are we calling out people?
I'm Robbie, guess what?
Oh, here we go. Let me sit up in my chair. Are we calling Robbie out?
No.
Robbie already called out his ex-sponsor. What are you talking about? We're going to call out.
No, Robbie was not part of the conversation that Louie and I had the other day. And so now we're going to break it to you live on air. Yeah. We were talking, and we were both just, I think I speak for us both when I say we're just upset. We're upset at the non-movement and the non-action associated with this. Right. People keep saying that they care about life. People keep saying that they care about their fellow man. Right. And yet, when you look up causes of death, addiction is somehow related to, like, what was it, the top 10, I think? Some version or form of it. Addiction is
8 of the 10. Addiction is the top
and contributor to that.
And nobody's doing anything about it. Whether it be behavior or substances, correct, somehow, some way, it was associated with it. So, and what him and I came up to the idea was a segment on the show where we can start calling out groups. Like certain groups that addiction is killing their constituents, I guess, supporters.
I know what you're talking about now. I finally clicked in. See, I'm slow on the uptake today, Trinity. I'm slow on the uptake.
Well, we got lag. So
there you go. There you go. I like the darkness, though. I'm sorry, Robbie. I really do like the darkness. Do you have all the numbers for the women one? Let's call them out first. Let's call out the ladies. Boy, here he goes. I thought we were going to do a whole show on that thing, Trinity.
We were going to do
Trinity.
I'm fired up today, man.
He got fired up all of a sudden, and I think Trinity's about to call out the ladies and ask you, what are you doing about this? And I think the reason was it because that...
Here we go.
What was it? How many women... What was the breast cancer number? It was like 40,000 a year,
something
right?
Like that.
40,000 a year. Made the top... All right, so here's the issue what Trinity's talking about. That in the top 10 causes of death, they list these things, right? It goes down to like 38,000 or something. Well, we know addiction has killed 50,000 plus. Yet for some reason, it's not getting allocated as addiction being a cause of death. It's going under something else. For instance, heart disease. It must be going to heart disease or something else, lung cancer. I don't know what it's going under, but it's not going under the cause or stroke. It's not going under the cause of death being addiction or an overdose for some reason. So if you look up right now, if you Google, not right now because you're watching the show, but after the show, if you Google top 10 causes of death in America, you're going to see addiction's not even on there. And it doesn't make any sense. So what Trinity's talking about is there's these groups out there. We have these women's organizations. We have gay organizations. We have organizations for different races and colors and creeds or whatever. We have all these different organizations that march on different issues that are important to them. Well, when we looked at some of the statistics, we saw that the women are dying at a greater rate due to opioids than ever before. Matter of fact, they're starting to
Oh, I got it right in
overtake
front
a
of me.
lot of men. And so, and in the research, what was it? What was the organization? What was
ASAM?
ASAM. So
American
ASAM,
Society of Addiction Medicine.
correct. The American Society of Addiction Medicine put out that over what is
I
it?
got it right here.
400% increase. Go ahead,
I got it right
go ahead and read.
It gave was it 4 facts, just real quickly.
Right.
Number 1, women are more likely to have chronic pain, be prescribed prescription pain relievers, be given higher doses, and use them for longer periods of time than men.
Right.
Women may become dependent on prescription pain relievers more quickly than men. First fact. Second fact, 48,000 women died of prescription pain reliever overdoses
That's more than breast cancer.
between 1999 and 2010.
Right.
And then the next one is prescription pain reliever. Prescription pain reliever overdose deaths among women increased more than 400% from 1999 to 2010, compared to 237% amongst men.
Okay, so let's pause there for a second. Let's
went
pause
up
there for a second. So
400%.
so
dude.
the death part.
Yeah.
All right. So the death rate for women due to opioids went up
Overdose.
400%, whereas in men within that same time period went up 237%. So that's important to understand there. So where are the women marching saying we're being ignored? We're not being
I got it even better.
we're
one
not
for you.
being cared about here. We're not being heard. Either doctors or just doing something different with women. Because I'd hate to believe I can't. I don't see any. Robbie, you're the science guy. You're the medical guy.
Right.
I don't see anything biologically that would make that so.
Well,
but I could see prescription-wise that making that
Yeah.
so.
Well, yeah, it is mostly
Prescribing
drugs that we're
habits.
talking
Oh, I got a
about.
better one.
Think about a C-section. I've read that 60 days worth of oxycodone can be prescribed from that, and then there's also a refill
Okay.
on top of that. So that's
Okay.
that's one woman right there. That's 120 pain pills. And just think
Wow.
about how many C-sections happen every day.
Right. Okay.
So
Here's the worst fact of them all, though. Heroin overdose deaths among women have tripled in the last few years. From 2010 through 2013, female heroin overdoses increased from 0.4 to
Right.
1.2
Right.
per 100,000.
Right. So
Women are dying every day from this.
so.
Women groups, where are you?
Well, and here's the thing, because we like to say that addiction doesn't care who you are, or how much money you have,
Sure.
race, color, creed, all that stuff. But what we're seeing is the reason we wanted to talk about this was because there are certain subsets where you have defined numbers of how it's increasing within that certain population. Yet for some reason, those populations that have a voice, those populations have a voice. They have a marching power. They have voting power. They have a lot of power to get heard. They either don't know that this is happening in their certain population, or there's other issues that for some reason appear to be more important.
They fought more.
And and you get incited. They like to incite us. Remember, all you specialty groups. Remember, other people. They like to politicize us. They like to. Democrats like to use us. Republicans like to use us. When you're part of a subset, political groups love to incite you to get you to think what they're talking about and act like that's a real important issue. No, this is an important issue. More women are dying from opioid addiction than ever before. The increases are astronomical, yet it's just not, like you said, it's not being talked
I
about.
saw women marches not too long ago when they had that when they're all obviously upset with Trump and the grab him in the.
Oh man, the comments.
But no, they were out there in
That was
force.
pretty nasty.
Their comments were a lot nastier, I think.
But they were out there in force.
You know,
They were out there in
that
force
was like,
for
whoa.
they were out there in force for the Planned Parenthood.
That was a little bit much.
Right, with the Planned Parenthood, they're all up in
Oh,
arms
yeah.
about the abortion problems and
Oh yeah,
controlling their body
Right.
and everything else.
right,
Okay, but my thing is if you're dead from an overdose,
right.
you,
None of that matters.
Who cares
Yeah.
about any of that?
None of that matters.
And so, as a woman, if you're trying to say you're trying to fight for women's rights, what about the woman's right to live
Yeah.
and be alive?
What about the way it appears that women are being prescribed differently to? That's
Yes.
what it appears. It appears that there's a prescription bias,
Yes.
or they, like Robbie was saying, maybe they maybe statistically they undergo more procedures that are being given more painkillers. I don't know, and that's something to look into, Robbie, is to try to figure out why this is.
Yeah, I was, and the only thing I saw the other day was like C-sections and post-birth pains and whatnot. So biologically, that could.
I don't blame him for that.
No.
Yeah, who wants to be in pain? And that's the other thing. We're not saying anybody should be in pain. First of all, we're not three men up here saying, hey, women shouldn't get pain medications for these procedures. That's not what's happening here. What's happening is there's a lot of procedures, and physicians do give a lot of medication for long term. You guys going to have a side chat over there?
No, this
what are you watching?
No. We're looking at how many deaths by per state.
We'll talk about that after.
They're not watching this show. What?
So there's this website. It's called kff.org, and this is only up to 2015, but you can actually see male and female broken down, the deaths in your state and every other state that happen just from opioids and synthetic products and heroin.
It's huge.
It's all in there. But but
okay. And so that's a subset.
Yeah.
Now, there's other subsets in that thing, Trinity, that the adolescence was in there as well. Did you want to talk about that? Or
We're going to focus on one group at a time, right?
Oh, one group at a time? All right, so you're focusing on women
right
today.
now. Let's go, ladies.
All right, so go ahead. Talk to the women, Trinity. I mean, I'm going to sit back.
I think we've already said it, man.
Well, no, I'm going to let you.
Ladies,
what would you like them to do, Trinity?
Fight. You spend all this time talking about, you want power and you want to be considered equal.
It just doesn't even sound right.
Here's a situation where you're not equal. You're not being treated equally, and yet you don't care. You're dying in record numbers. And you're worried about what President Trump says. Well, you're gonna die. Like if you're not alive, who cares what Trump is saying or who's paying what or whatever? Like you guys are focused on if the guy next to you is making $1 more per hour, but you're not worried about your coworker who's gonna die right now because nobody's educating her on opioids and they're giving her like 120 pills when she really shouldn't have that. And nobody's addressing that concept, but you're worried about who gets paid $1 more. I'd rather be alive.
Well,
I'd rather be alive.
The views and opinions stressed by Trinity Phillips and Trinity. No. I guess what I'm saying is that it's not that those other issues aren't important, and that's not what you're saying.
I'm saying
those other issues are important. It's important that you get paid equally. It's important that you get treated with respect equally. Those things are important. However,
they're not more important than alive.
This issue with opioid dependence and people dying from opioids is just, we need more people to fight with us. It shouldn't just be people in recovery. It shouldn't just be people who lost their child or their loved one due to addiction. It should be all of us. And there are subsets that have ready-made groups with a ready-made voice, with connections to political people, and you have a vote. And they know that you have a vote, so they love to talk directly to you, women's groups. And yet, you're not using that voice to talk about the addiction issue, is what Trinity's saying. I think that's what we're both saying, right? Is that they're just not using that voice for this issue, and we want it included.
Well, it just it boggles my mind in the sense that and I wasn't even quite aware. I mean, I knew it was a big deal.
Right.
But when you start reading off those numbers to me yesterday,
big numbers.
It's absurd to me how many millions of people are impacted. I think we're all impacted.
Right.
Some people are directly impacted because they're dealing with the disease of addiction themselves.
Right.
Some of them are indirectly impacted because they have a loved one or family member that is dealing with the disease of addiction. Mm-hmm. Then you have business owners who are potentially dealing with employees that are. I think it was a couple weeks ago we talked about that, how certain manufacturing jobs are starting to now switch over to automated services because they're having a hard time keeping employees.
Well, I mean, there's a lack of employees, and they want more per hour.
Sure, so but then you
got to go automated.
Then you got to deal with all the medical costs of emergency room visits and everything.
Correct.
Like everybody is impacted on some level of this particular this issue, disease of addiction. And it's like everybody just turns a blind eye and they don't want to talk about it. They want to spend all the time fighting over things that aren't attaching themselves to the bigger problem at hand, which is the addiction. 8 of the top 10 reasons for your death in America nowadays revolve somehow, some way with addiction of some sort. Whether it be addictive behaviors of like smoking or excessive consumption of food and sugar, or just straight up illicit drugs.
Right.
Like somehow, some way it's connected. So it would be heart disease, like you said. Granted, there's genetical.
I like that. Yeah.
There's genetic.
It's a very romantical way of saying it.
Yeah, right. So genetics play a role, obviously, and your lifestyle and stuff like that. But there's many things.
Yeah,
That
but that plays a role in addiction too, though.
Sure, but that's
So,
what I mean.
You know,
Like, but nobody's touching it. We can't even get like.
all right.
Nobody takes it seriously, and it's annoying.
The counselor in me cannot continue to hear you say nobody.
I say nobody in more of a metaphorical
Yeah, I know, but the counselor in me can't have you keep saying nobody. You
Well,
got to
what are
say
nobodies,
the
man?
groups that we're talking to.
women.
There's certain groups.
Fight.
There's certain groups. You're right. There's certain groups that just aren't making a loud enough stank about it.
No, I'm gonna say
Right.
nobody, man. I'm sorry.
I'm saying nobody. he's
No, I'm for
he's
real.
going stuck on it.
I'm gonna say
Right.
nobody because
You don't think anybody's fighting about
no, people in our ilk are doing it, but
Huh?
we don't matter. People learn to tune us out. People, we talk about it all the time, so they tune us out.
it? You matter, Trinity.
Thank you. Now it matters too.
Yeah, now matters
No
Um,
more.
matters.
But my point is, no, like when you look at social media, when you look at the mainstream stuff, nobody's really talking about it, man. It's a blurb. It's like on a ticker when it goes by.
Yeah.
When they're talking about what word Trump said or what North Korea said about something.
They'll do 15 shows
Yes.
in a row talking about a
And that's
tweet,
what I'm
one
saying.
tweet.
You have the same people who are still talking about it, which
Yeah.
because in our ilk, people are involved in things,
Mhm.
but people tune us out because we talk about it all the time. It's like, oh, they're just talking about their thing. So no, nobody, meaning mainstream, it's just really not a topic, man. They still view it as us and them. They still view it as all those people.
Right.
It's like, no, man, those people are your friends and your family. Those
Right.
people are your coworkers. Those people are the people you pass in, in Winn-Dixie or Publix or wherever it is you're shopping. They're like right next to you. They're not out on the streets taking your car radios anymore, people. Like, get that out of your head. That's not where we're at anymore.
Right.
And that's what I mean by, I'm going to stick with the word nobody. Until I start seeing it blasted everywhere
Yeah.
and all over the place, when I see as much airtime with how many thousands of people died in association with this, along with what word Trump used, then I'll start saying people are talking about it.
I mean, you watch the news all week and you see addiction, like the word addiction, like on the news, like once.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
And it's usually to say, oh,
Yeah.
7 more people died
Yeah,
last
somebody
hour.
died.
So moving
Yeah.
on to the next subject.
Right.
exactly. It's like that's what that. It's like we've come to accept that. It's like that's what addicts do.
Well-
They die.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I think you clicked on it. I mean, I think we all, those of us in this world or in this line of business or that have not just a dog in the fight, but we're fighting with the dogs. And so those of us on this side of it see that one terrorist attack kills one person and it makes the news for a week or a month.
They don't even have to kill somebody. They can catch them before they even do it.
One person. You know,
The shoe bomber didn't kill anybody.
The guy that drove into the crowd. One lady died, right?
Yes.
One lady died. And that's not to discount her death. Her death
course
is
not.
important and that sucks and it was a horrible thing. But they talked about it and have used that over and over again.
Mhm.
There's 140 people dying of addiction every day. And I think it's the stigma, Trinity. It's the stigma attached to it.
Yes.
If we didn't have this stigma attached to being losers, being stupid, making poor choices, you're a bad person, then people would be listening. Because trust me, if 140, if just a segment of that was women, if 20 women were being killed by a group,
Sure.
if they were being targeted, if 20 women a day were being killed, hell, just 5 women a day were being killed.
I think you could say
If one woman a day
Yeah.
was being killed every day
No, not
by
only
a
that,
specific group,
using
it would be all over the
in
media.
Charlottesville, right? When the girl was killed by the guy in the car, I guarantee you, just within 100 miles,
Right.
there was at least 2 or 3 that died that day
Oh yeah.
of opioid.
Oh
use.
yeah.
Within 100
Oh
miles.
yeah.
was the exact
No
thing that
no
took
doubt.
place.
No
And
doubt.
yet they're focusing on one,
No doubt.
and not the 20 or 30 within a 100-mile radius
No
that
doubt.
died. Like, that's my point. Is you say you care about life. No, you don't. You care about life that fits within what your little
Mhm.
wants and needs are. You don't care
Right.
about life in general.
Yeah.
Because if you did, you wouldn't focus on the one. Not that she's not important,
Mm-hmm.
but you'd be focused on the other 100 that all died at that exact same moment.
No, and you know what? You're right. The focus is really off when you have when there's such a polarizing individual in such a powerful position. People are getting too stuck in their polarized positions, and they're not fighting the right arguments anymore. They're just fighting whatever argument they can tap into at the moment, whatever tweet or whatever little message gets sent out. Like, that's what I was asking about when you guys said it has not been declared a national emergency. I'm just picturing them using that politically and being like, see, another promise hadn't been done.
Right.
And instead of looking at it like, well, no, He just speaks a hell of a lot before the action can be done.
Right.
Because it would be worse that if he put pen to paper and then they say, well, where are you going to get the money from? Where are you going to get? And he wasn't ready to answer that question.
Right.
So again, it just further shows us that things get politicized. Even addiction gets politicized, and it turns into some sort of political thing. Christie has been very involved with this, and to date, that guy still doesn't get the respect nationally as to a lot of the things that he tends to want to do, whether we agree with his positions or not, whether we agree with his tactics or not. Remember,
Right.
our position is that at least someone's doing something about it. You know, so any governor out there should be doing something about it within their state.
Right.
Something other than just, and you know what? I don't want just money. I don't want them to just allocate money. Just allocating money goes to all the same people.
Yeah.
When you say we're going to allocate more money, it just goes to all the same people. That those same people in our city only use it for 10 detox beds.
10. God, it kills me.
So you know, so
Someone commented no sound 2 minutes ago.
no sound. Is that true?
Look at your Facebook.
Look at it.
Yeah.
How do I look at it?
Wait,
I
you
can't-
You
I'm
hit
on
go
that.
live already, right?
Yeah. Are we not on? Well, here's who I blame. I blame you and you because you're sitting there on. You're supposed to be watching that, and the intern failed. He was supposed. He was
Oh,
supposed to.
come
No.
on.
He was supposed to be watching that.
Intern.
He should have known 40 minutes ago that it wasn't live.
Shame.
Shame on you. Shame on you, son. Shame. And that's why, my friend, your nickname is going to be Grasshopper.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you can grab that pebble out of my hand,
And
You can have your own show.
then you can have your own show.
I wouldn't be able to have my own show. I don't know what I would do. Just
You just sit there and look at the camera.
yeah.
Just sit there, just like this.
Stare.
Staring contest.
Talk about, what is it called? Lane snappers?
Yeah, lane snappers and alleles.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
There you go.
All right,
we
so
gotta-
let's start closing up. We got 2 minutes, so
See if I get any birthdays or anything.
any birthdays? Oh, yeah, my niece Sophie. Happy birthday. Sophie's turning, I believe she's turning 17.
The big
Wow.
17.
Wow.
17.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. I was
Almost
just in
18, man.
I was in Atlanta this week, and speaking at St. Jude's addiction center, and it was pretty cool.
That's cool.
They do a lot of Atlanta has, woo. I was right in it, brother.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen homelessness like that since L.A. You know, because in Orlando we don't have that kind of homelessness. Not like Atlanta, where they're like all in like a few blocks,
I've
right?
seen that in Seattle.
Like Skid Row, basically?
Yeah. And so thanks to St. Jude's doing some great work up there. I mean, offering, by the way, anyone in Atlanta, Georgia, or around there, they're offering naltrexone and Vivitrol shot to you for free. So call St. Jude's. They're offering the Vivitrol shot. If that's not your flavor and you want buprenorphine, they have that too. But the point is they're using medication-assisted treatment up in Atlanta. Great job, St. Jude's. Thank you for everything you do. So, I mean, we got to utilize more programs like that. And, of course, thanks to our major sponsors. We want to thank Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers for everything they do. Retreat Addiction is up there in Pennsylvania, and they're down here in Florida as well. And then, of course, the Journey Pure Treatment Centers. They got Emerald Coast. They got 12 Keys here in Florida. They got Tennessee and Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And then, of course, Bowling Green. So thanks to all of them. We got some good facilities out there
Right on.
doing some good work. So remember, if you need help and you need help with your loved one or yourself, give us a call. You can always call us at 407-721-5402. That's 407-721-5402 and say that you need some help, and we'll see if we can help you out. If there's absolutely no money, you have no funding, you're the toughest ones to help. I suggest you just call directly to your state facilities because they're the ones that are getting these funding, these dollars that are being allocated by state of emergencies and national emergencies. So call your local hospitals. They'll know how to guide you. But for the rest of you that have some sort of insurance, a little bit of insurance, and just it's that deductible that's keeping you from getting help, those are the ones that we at the Now Matters More Foundation want to help, because sometimes it's only like $500 that's keeping you from going to treatment and rehab. So you're the ones that we want to help. So you're the ones that we can help. You know, we don't have God, I wish we can give $24,000 to everybody, but we can't. So if you have absolutely no funding at all, you really do have to get some of those dollars that they're handing out for being a state of emergency or national emergency. So anything. Any other things, Robbie? Anything? That's it?
I think that
we got it all,
covers
man.
it.
Got it all? Or actually didn't get it all. Look how deflated they look now. Look how deflated they look now when they found out that it wasn't live the whole time.
It's still up there.
Robbie looks so sad right now. You should see him. Oh, you can see him. I forgot. With this other camera, you can see him.
I'm gonna have to wear the dunce cap next show.
Yeah. You
really feller on the top.
You failed us today, Robbie. It was a big miss.
Come on.
But guess what? Watch this. He caught fish today. What'd you catch, Robbie? What'd you catch?
Land snapper.
Land snapper.
Lane
snapper.
There you go.
Didn't fail at that, did you, Robbie? All right, from all of us here on the Couch Live, adios amigos. It's time for a taco. Goodbye.